I awakened the most useless F-rank ability in history, Refresh, which resets any non-living object within a 1-meter radius back to its original state. But in practice, refresh a book, still a book. Refresh a towel, still a towel. So 3 months into the zombie apocalypse, my girlfriend grabbed the last half-pack of crackers, hopped into some other guy's car without even looking back, and tossed an empty instant noodle cup at my feet on the way out, like throwing scraps to a dog. Babe, don't blame me. Your ability is just too useless. I'd starve staying with you. Desperate, I stared at that empty cup, and one thought flashed through my mind. Refresh. A rich, intense beef aroma exploded in the air. Under the torn wrapper, perfectly stacked noodle cakes and 3 seasoning packets. I froze. My ability wasn't useless. We'd all been thinking about it wrong. Restoring to initial state didn't mean restoring to what it was a second ago. It meant restoring to the state it was in when it first left the factory. An empty instant noodle cup? Its initial state was a brand new sealed cup of noodles. My heart was slamming against my ribs, not from fear, but from pure raw excitement. I looked around the completely ransacked convenience store. Every shelf was covered in torn snack wrappers and drained bottles. To anyone else, it was trash. But to me, this was an infinite treasure chest. I didn't rush to boil water. In the apocalypse, any food smell could bring unwanted guests. I carefully climbed up to the second-floor stockroom and shoved a heavy shelf against the door. Only after making sure it was safe did I start my experiment. I set the empty noodle cup on the floor and whispered, "Refresh." A barely visible ripple passed over it, and just like that, a brand new cup of noodles appeared. Again. I held back my excitement and kept going. 10 minutes later, a mountain of 60 cups of noodles was stacked in front of me. My ability had a 10-second cooldown, which meant unlimited noodles. Then my eyes landed on an empty water bottle nearby. Refresh! A 500 milliliter bottle of clean water appeared instantly. I spotted an empty first aid kit, just the shell left. Refresh. A brand new first aid kit materialized in my hands. My breathing quickened. Food, water, medicine, the most valuable resources in the apocalypse, were now inexhaustible for me. Lu Ruyan, you really think my ability is garbage? Just wait. One day you'll be on your knees begging me to toss you a bite to eat. For the next 3 days, I locked myself in that stockroom. The mountains of empty packaging became my raw materials. Chips, crackers, chocolate, anything edible. I refreshed into crate after crate. Drinks and water filled up half the corner. Best part? I found an empty gas canister plus a portable camp stove from the store. I could finally eat something hot. I shut every window and boiled a pot of water. I tore open 3 seasoning packets and dropped in the noodle cake. When that long-lost smell hit my nose, I couldn't hold back the tears anymore. I sat there crying and stuffing my face, the most filling, most peaceful meal I'd had since the apocalypse started. With a full stomach, my brain kicked back into gear. Staying here forever wasn't an option. This store would eventually get overrun by zombies or found by other survivors. I needed a safer base, and I needed weapons. Food and water alone would just make me a sitting duck. I packed everything into 2 huge hiking backpacks, cracked the door open, and scoped out the street. A few zombies were wandering aimlessly outside. I took a deep breath, gripped a fruit knife I'd refreshed back to razor sharp, and thought, time to move. Getting out of the store went smoother than expected. I used the back alley's complicated layout to dodge most of the zombies. Any stragglers I couldn't avoid? I cracked a refreshed full can of cola over their head and finished them with the knife while they were stunned. My destination, Lanwin Residential District, west side of the city. One of the fanciest neighborhoods in town, solid security systems, tall, thick walls. It should hold up in the early apocalypse. More importantly, my parents' apartment was there. When everything went down, I was at school. We lost contact right away. Finding them was the only thing keeping me going. But the road to Lanwan was way harder than I imagined. The city was completely paralyzed. Abandoned cars clogged every main road. Along the way, I saw more human suffering than I could count. People brutally fighting over scraps. That's when it really hit me. Liu Ruyan's betrayal was just a tiny piece of this brutal, broken world. Out here, humanity had already fallen apart. By the third evening, I finally reached the outer edge of Lanwan. The massive iron gates were shut tight, and I could make out figures on the walls standing guard. Just as I'd hoped, it had become a survivor base. I hung back and watched for a long time. Getting in meant going through their screening, so I reorganized my pack, stashed most of my supplies in a hidden storm drain, kept just 2 water bottles and a small bag of crackers, and walked up to the gate looking like just another refugee. "Freeze! Who are you?" I raised both hands, tilted my head up, showing off a face caked with dirt and dust. "I live here. My name's Lin Fan. Unit 17. Unit 17 at Lin Fan?" The person on the wall went quiet, seemingly radioing in to verify. A moment later, the iron gate cracked open just a sliver, and a guy stepped out gripping a steel pipe, eyes sharp and suspicious. "ID." I pulled out my ID, already had it ready, and handed it over. He checked it. "Just you? Where's your supplies?" I looked down, letting my voice crack just the right amount, shaky, scared. "Got robbed on the way. This is all I've got left." The man frowned, clearly skeptical. But one look at my scrawny frame and beaten-down expression, and he let his guard down. "Come on in. House rules. Everyone new has to hand over half their supplies for community distribution." My stomach dropped. Good thing I'd planned ahead. I nodded and handed over 1 water bottle and half a pack of crackers. The man took it, gave me a look of contempt, then waved me through. Once inside, the scene actually gave me some relief. The tension was still there, but there was order. People were patrolling, reinforcing barricades. Women and children were being sheltered in the community clubhouse. This place was like a tiny island in the middle of the apocalypse, temporarily cut off from the bloodshed and chaos outside. A lady handling registration told me the place was run by a guy they called Brother Bao. He used to be the property manager here. After the apocalypse hit, he awakened an Earth-type ability and built a security team to protect everyone. Every resident earned a daily food ration based on contributions. Want more? Join the patrol or logistics crew. I used my 2-week excuse and kept off every roster for now. My priority was finding my parents, but when I rushed to our unit with a pounding heart, I found the security door ripped open by force and the inside completely turned upside down. My heart sank. I burst through the door screaming for my parents. Nothing. Just dead silence. A thin layer of dust covered the coffee table. They'd been gone for at least several days. There were signs of a struggle on the floor, but no blood. Small mercy, I guess. I collapsed to the floor, hit by a kind of confusion and fear I'd never felt before. I had no idea where to even start looking. And then, just as I sat there completely lost, footsteps outside the door. A cocky voice cut through the silence. "Well, well, looks like somebody slipped through the cracks."